This is Bipolar State of Mind, discussing all things bipolar, Tuesdays, 8 p.m. Eastern. Hello, good folks. I am your host, Mystique McKenzie, and this is Bipolar State of Mind. In this first episode, I am going to read an excerpt. This article talks about what mental illness is from the perspective of an African shamanic healer. His name is Malidoma Some, and he's got a very, very interesting background. You should look him up. But one of the things that he encountered when he first came to the United States in 1980 for graduate study was how this country deals with mental illness. When a fellow student was sent to a mental institute due to nervous depression, Dr. Some went to visit him, and his story goes like this. I was so shocked. That was the first time I was brought face to face with what is done here to people exhibiting the same symptoms I've seen in my village. What struck Dr. Some was the attention given to such symptoms was based on pathology, on the idea that the condition is something that needs to stop. This was in complete opposition to the way his culture views such a situation. As he looked around the stark ward at the patients, some in straitjackets, some zoned out on medications, others screaming, he observed to himself, so this is how the healers who are attempting to be born are treated in this culture? What a loss. What a loss that a person who is finally being aligned with a power from the other world is just being wasted. Another way to say this, which may make more sense to the Western mind, is that we in the West are not trained in how to deal or even taught to acknowledge the existence of psychic phenomena, the spiritual world. In fact, psychic abilities are denigrated. When energies from the spiritual world emerge in a Western psyche, the individual is completely unequipped to integrate them or even recognize what is happening. The result can be terrifying. Without the proper context for and assistance in dealing with the breakthrough from another level of reality, for all practical purposes, the person is insane. Heavy dosing with antipsychotic drugs compounds the problem and prevents the integration that could lead to soul development and growth in the individual who has received these energies. On the mental ward, Dr. Some saw a lot of beings hanging around the patients, entities that are invisible to most people, but that shamans and psychics are able to see. They were causing the crisis in these people, he says. It appeared to him that these beings were trying to get the medications and their effects out of the bodies of the people the beings were trying to merge with, and were increasing the patient's pain in the process. The beings were acting almost like some kind of excavator in the energy field of people. They were really fierce about that. The people they were doing that to were just screaming and yelling, he said. He couldn't stay in that environment. He had to leave. In the Dagara tradition, the community helps the person reconcile the energies of both worlds, the world of the spirit that he or she is merged with, and the village and community. That person is able to then serve as a bridge between the worlds and help the living with information and healing they need. Thus, the spiritual crisis ends with the birth of another healer. The other world's relationship with our world is one of sponsorship, Dr. Some explains. More often than not, the knowledge and skills that arise from this kind of merger are a knowledge or a skill that is provided directly from the other world. The beings who were increasing the pain of the inmates on the mental hospital ward were actually attempting to merge with the inmates in order to get messages through to this world. The people they had chosen to merge with were getting no assistance in learning how to be a bridge between the worlds, and the beings' attempt to merge were thwarted. The result was the sustaining of the initial disorder of energy and the aborting of the birth of a healer. The Western culture has consistently ignored the birth of a healer, states Dr. Some. Consequently, there will be a tendency from the other world to keep trying as many people as possible in an attempt to get somebody's attention. They have to try harder. The spirits are drawn to people whose senses have not been anesthetized. The sensitivity is pretty much read as an invitation to come in, he notes. Those who develop so-called mental disorders are those who are sensitive, which is viewed in Western culture as oversensitivity. Indigenous cultures don't see it that way, and as a result, sensitive people don't experience themselves as overly sensitive. In the West, it is the overload of the culture they are in that is just wrecking them, observes Dr. Some. The frenetic pace, the bombardment of the senses, and the violent energy that characterize Western culture can overwhelm sensitive people. Now, there is much more to this article that I will be revisiting in another episode, but I wanted to summarize some of my personal experiences really resonate with this article. I will be explaining to you guys exactly why I feel I'm bipolar in another episode. Today, I'm going to pretty much explain how and why I feel this article pertains to me. Early in my childhood, I knew that I had abilities that other people didn't have. I didn't realize they were different until I started talking to my mom and dad, and I kind of just tried to ignore them. Some people say they can, speak to the dead or hear the dead and those type of things. I can feel, which I learned in my adult life is called claircognizance and clairsentience. I'm basically an empath. So I can feel different energies around me, and sometimes that means I just know who not to trust. Sometimes it means I know what people are doing and they shouldn't be doing. And sometimes it's just I'm supposed to give a message. It's a difficult thing to cope with at times, and unfortunately, discovering what bipolar is, it made me feel like, wow, this must be the delusional part of having the disorder. Then I started to feel, it doesn't really make sense that it's delusional when I'm getting corroboration from strangers that what I know is actually right about them. These people that I know nothing about, I have knowledge about difficulties in their lives or what they've been through, and they're looking at me like, how did you know that? Or like, how did you know I needed to hear that? Or so how delusional can it be if it's being corroborated? So I decided to really look deep into this mental illness thing and psychic ability, and I found this article. This man is a lifesaver for me. It saved me from believing that I'm totally insane. Yes, my brain may work quite differently than other people, but he was the link that had me, continue to have faith in myself as being a competent individual. Maybe I just have gifts and abilities that other people don't have. But that's it for today. It's going to get quite interesting. The next episode, I'm going to read more on this article, and he goes into how he helped his friend learn how to be a healer instead of fighting those energies and ultimately having those energies take over his mind and totally losing his sanity. He helps his friend integrate those energies. I'm learning how to do that independently, but hopefully one day I'll find a trusted teacher, spiritual teacher that can help me with that as well, because it's not easy. Anyway, folks, thanks for tuning in. This is Mystique McKenzie, your host, and this was Bipolar State of Mind. Catch you next time. Bye.